Welcome to Thoughts That Matter channel. Tonight you'll hear a collection of calm monk stories, gentle reflections meant to quiet the mind and soften the day. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. Just listen, and let rest arrive in its own time. If you'd like more calm stories like this, you're welcome to subscribe. It quietly supports this channel. The cup that was already full. Long ago, in a quiet village nestled at the edge of a vast forest, there lived a young student. He had read many books, heard many teachers, and yet, his heart felt heavy. He longed for peace, for understanding. One evening, as the sun went down, he arrived at a small monastery. The air was cool, scented with pine and earth. Inside, a gentle monk waited, seated on a simple wooden floor. His eyes were calm, his expression serene, as if he had been waiting for this very moment. "I have come to learn," said the student. "I want to find peace. I want to know truth." The monk nodded silently. He motioned for the student to sit, and then placed a small cup of tea before him. Without a word, he began to pour, slow and steady. The cup filled, then it overflowed. Tea spilled onto the table and onto the floor. The student jumped forward. "Stop!" he said, almost shouting. "The cup is full! How can you pour more?" The monk looked gently at him. "So are you," he said softly. "Your mind is full. Thoughts, worries, fears, expectations." The student blinked. "I came to learn. How can that be a problem?" he asked. The monk smiled. "You cannot pour more into a cup that is already full. It will overflow. Nothing new will enter. Wisdom comes not by filling, but by emptying." That night, as the village settled under the silver moon, the student lay on his simple mat, thinking of the cup. He remembered how his mind had overflowed with questions, with plans, with doubts. He imagined slowly setting each one down, gently, without forcing. He noticed his shoulders relax, his chest expanded. A calmness crept in, like a soft wind through the trees. The cup, once overflowing, began to feel empty and peaceful. The monk's words echoed in his mind. Some answers arrive only when the cup is empty, not forced, not hurried, but when stillness arrives naturally. Tonight, you may feel as full as the student's cup, full of thoughts, worries, or unfinished tasks. You do not need to solve them tonight. You do not need to hold them any longer. Set the cup down. Let it rest. Allow your mind to settle. Outside, the forest whispered softly. The stars blinked slowly overhead. The night carried on gently. And in the quiet, the student's mind followed, not rushing, not resisting, just breathing, just being. Tonight, let your cup rest, empty or full, it does not matter. Your body knows how to soften. Your mind knows how to release. And as you drift to sleep, you are learning. Without effort, without rush, without struggle. Sleep comes naturally to the one who lets go. The monk who sat in the rain. The rain began quietly before sunrise, not heavy, not urgent, just steady. As the village woke, people hurried along wet paths, pulling cloaks tight and seeking shelter. At the edge of the village, beneath an old tree, a monk sat quietly. Rain fell onto his robe. The cloth darkened. The earth beneath him cooled. He did not move. A traveler passing by slowed his steps. "Why are you sitting there?" he asked. "You'll be soaked." The monk opened his eyes gently. "The rain has already arrived," he said. "Moving will not make it leave." The traveler hesitated. But it must be uncomfortable. The monk smiled softly. Yes, he replied, and discomfort grows heavier when we fight it. The traveler stayed. Rain continued to fall. The monk's breathing remained slow and even, untroubled. The traveler noticed his own body. Tight shoulders, restless thoughts, quiet tension. He realized how much energy he spent resisting what already was. Minutes passed. Something softened. Not because the rain stopped, but because the struggle did. How do you stay calm? The traveler asked. The body feels the rain, the monk said, but the mind does not need to suffer with it. He paused. Pain may come, but resistance invites suffering to stay. That night, the traveler lay in bed listening to rain tap softly on the roof. Normally, his thoughts would race, but tonight, he let the sound remain. He did not push it away. Slowly, his breath deepened. His body softened. Tonight, you may feel something uncomfortable too. A thought, a feeling, a memory. You do not need to fix it. You do not need to escape it. Like rain, let it fall. Your body knows how to rest. And as the rain softens, so can you. Now rest. The path that led nowhere. Long ago, in a quiet village at the foot of rolling hills, there lived a monk who walked the same path every day. The path began at the village edge and disappeared into the forest. It twisted between trees, over stones, and ended abruptly at a quiet clearing where no one ever ventured. Villagers often asked the monk, "Why do you walk a path that leads nowhere?" The monk would smile quietly. "Because I am not going anywhere," he said. One day, a curious young traveler decided to follow him. They walked slowly together, step by step, listening to the sounds of birds, the wind rustling through leaves, and the soft crunch of soil beneath their feet. When they reached the clearing, the traveler frowned. "There's nothing here," he said. "No treasure, no answers, no purpose." The monk sat down on a stone, calm and unmoving. "Exactly," he replied. At first, the traveler felt disappointed. He had expected wisdom to appear like a shining light, or a secret hidden at the end of the path. But as he sat quietly, breathing in the scent of earth and trees, he felt something shift. A tension he hadn't noticed loosened in his chest. A quietness settled in his mind. The traveler realized, slowly, that the journey itself was enough. The walking, the listening, the stillness at the end. This was the wisdom he had been seeking all along. Tonight, like the traveler, you may feel the need to reach the end of something. An answer, a solution, a clarity that seems far away. But sometimes, peace is found not at the destination, but in the gentle steps along the way. Take a slow breath in and a long breath out. Notice the small sounds around you, the rise and fall of your chest, the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat. The path may seem to go nowhere, yet in your quiet presence, in your steady breath, you are already exactly where you need to be. Rest here. Let your mind soften. Let your body settle. The path, the journey, the quiet moments, they are enough. Sleep comes naturally to the one who walks gently, even when the path seems to lead nowhere. The quiet teacher. Long ago, in a monastery nestled among gentle hills, there lived a teacher who spoke very little. The other monks often wondered why. Why does he not share wisdom? They asked each other. Why does he not guide us with words? One evening, a young monk, weary from study and practice, approached him. The teacher was sitting outside, under an old oak tree. The sun was low, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange. The young monk sat beside him, uncertain. They said nothing. The only sounds were the distant songs of birds and the soft rustle of leaves. Minutes passed, then more. The silence stretched comfortably, like a gentle blanket. The young monk noticed something extraordinary. Despite the quiet, he felt a calmness growing inside him. His mind, usually restless, began to soften. The tension in his shoulders eased. The worry in his chest lifted. He looked at the teacher. He was still silent. And yet, the teacher was teaching. The young monk understood. Sometimes words are unnecessary. Sometimes presence is enough. That night, as the moon rose and cast silver light over the monastery, the young monk lay on his mat. He thought about the day, about the quiet teacher, about the lesson hidden in silence. He realized peace is not always spoken. Sometimes it is felt. Sometimes it is simply the gentle awareness of another being present, calm and patient. Tonight, you may feel restless. Your mind may want answers, explanations, or guidance. Slowly, take a deep breath in and release it. Let the quiet teach you. Let the stillness guide you. Notice your body. Notice your breath. Notice the soft space between your thoughts. And in that gentle space, know you are learning, even in silence, even in rest. Sleep comes naturally when the mind is allowed to be still. Let the quiet carry you. Let your body soften. Let your heart rest. And tonight, let peace simply be. The student who asked too much. Long ago, in a quiet monastery high on a hill, there lived a young student. Every day, he came to his teacher with questions. What is the meaning of life? How can I find peace? Which path is the right one? The teacher listened patiently, but said very little. The student grew frustrated. One afternoon, the teacher said, "Come sit with me." The student obeyed, though his mind was buzzing with questions. They sat together in silence. Minutes passed. The wind whispered through the trees. The leaves shimmered in the sunlight. The birds called softly in the distance. The student shifted, fidgeted, and waited. Finally, he spoke. "Aren't you going to answer me?" he asked. "I came here to learn." The teacher smiled gently. "I am answering," he said, "but not with words." The student frowned. "I don't understand," he whispered. The teacher reached out and touched the student's hand. "Some answers," he said slowly, "come only when the questions quiet themselves. Some understanding arrives only in silence, when the mind is still and patient, and the heart is calm enough to notice it." That evening, the student lay on his simple mat, thinking of the teacher's words. He tried to stop asking, to stop pushing for answers. At first, his mind raced. But slowly, with each breath, he noticed a soft quiet spreading inside him. A gentle space where thoughts could rest. A calm that didn't need explanation or reasoning. Tonight, your mind may be full of questions, doubts, or worries. You may be seeking answers or trying to make sense of everything. Slowly, take a deep breath in and let it out. You do not need to solve anything right now. You do not need to know the outcome. Sit quietly with yourself, just as the student did. Notice your body. Notice your breath. Notice the gentle pause between one thought and the next. And in that quiet space, let understanding arrive naturally. No rush, no effort. Just soft attention. Sleep comes when the mind stops asking and the heart allows the stillness. Tonight, let the questions fade. Let your thoughts rest. And let peace find you, slowly and gently. The stone that was heavy. Long ago, when life moved more slowly and monasteries were built into quiet hillsides, there lived a young monk who believed that effort was the same as wisdom. He woke early, worked hard, and rested little. If something felt difficult, he believed it must be important. If something felt heavy, he believed it must be necessary. One morning, the abbot asked him to bring a stone from the river below the hill. "It is not a test," the abbot said gently. "It is only a task." The young monk bowed and walked down toward the valley. The river flowed calmly through the land. Stones of many shapes rested along its edge. After a moment, the monk chose one that seemed reasonable, not too large, not too small. When he lifted it, the weight surprised him. Still, he pressed the stone against his chest and began climbing back up. At first, the path felt easy. The air was cool. Birds moved quietly through the trees. "This is good practice," he thought. As the hill grew steeper, the stone pressed harder into his arms. His breath shortened. Sweat gathered on his brow. He tightened his grip. "If I stop," he told himself, "I am failing." Each step became slower. His shoulders ached. His hands trembled. "Why does everything feel so heavy?" he thought. Still, he continued. Halfway up the hill, beneath an old tree, an elderly monk sat resting quietly. The young monk passed him at first, unwilling to stop. But after a few more steps, his strength faded. Finally, he turned back. "Master," he said, breathing hard, "this stone is very heavy." The elder opened his eyes calmly. "How long have you been carrying it?" he asked. "Since this morning," the young monk replied. The elder nodded. "And when did you decide to carry it without resting?" he asked. The young monk paused. "I thought that was the right way," he said softly. The elder smiled. "Sit," he said. The young monk sat down, still holding the stone. "Now," the elder said gently, "place it beside you." Slowly, the monk set the stone down. Relief moved through his body immediately. His shoulders softened. His breath deepened. The elder asked quietly, "Where did the weight go?" The young monk looked at the stone resting on the ground. "It stayed there," he said. The elder nodded. "The weight was not only in the stone," he said. "It was in how tightly you held it." They sat together in silence. "You are not tired because you carry burdens," the elder said at last. "You are tired because you do not know when to put them down." That night, as the young monk lay down to sleep, he understood something new. Some burdens are real, but much of their weight comes from refusing to rest. You may be carrying a stone too. A thought, a worry, a memory. Tonight, you do not need to drop it forever. You only need to loosen your grip. Rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. The river that stopped churning. Long ago, in a quiet valley surrounded by misty hills, there was a river that never rested. It flowed endlessly, tumbling over stones, racing around bends and splashing past villages. From dawn to dusk, it carried everything in its path. And yet, the river felt there was something missing. For years, it believed that purpose was found only in motion. If it slowed, even for a moment, it feared it would vanish. One evening, an old monk came to sit on the riverbank. He watched the water with calm eyes, as if he could read every ripple and wave. The river noticed him. "Why do you sit so still?" it whispered. "Don't you need to act?" The monk smiled, but he did not answer. He simply breathed, letting the evening wind brush across his face. The river grew restless. "What if I stop?" it thought. "Will I lose my strength? Will I lose my place in the world?" It flowed faster, tumbling harder over stones. But the more it pushed, the more exhausted it felt. Its surface churned, its depths grew restless, and its reflection became broken and unclear. Night fell, and the monk remained. He dipped his hand into the water and let it pass through his fingers. "You move," he said softly, "but you are not movement. You flow, but you are not effort." The river paused, curious. "Look at the sky," the monk continued. "The stars do not rush. The moon does not chase the sun. And yet, everything appears in its own time." For the first time, the river felt something unfamiliar. Relief. It let itself slow. Not stop. Just soften. The surface smoothed, reflecting the moonlight clearly. Fish rested beneath, and the stones shone quietly under the water. The monk spoke again. "Answers are not found in rushing. They are found when the mind stops chasing and simply sees." The river did not understand fully, but it felt lighter. It no longer struggled against itself. The flow became gentle, wise, and purposeful, not through effort, but through presence. That night, the river realized that for years, it had carried more than water. It carried fear, doubt, and the weight of imagined duties, but when it allowed stillness, it found clarity. The river discovered that wisdom is not in endless movement, but in knowing when to rest, when to listen, and when to simply be. Tonight, you are like this river. You have flowed through the day, carried thoughts, emotions, and worries. You may feel tired. This is not weakness. This is life asking you to rest. You do not need to force answers, chase understanding, or solve everything before sleep. Simply allow yourself to slow, to soften, to be present. Like the river under moonlight, let your mind become smooth, quiet, and deep. Flow gently, without effort, into rest. The door that never opened. Long ago, in a quiet land, where mountains met the sky and time seemed to move more slowly, there stood a solitary stone wall at the edge of a village. Set into that wall was an old wooden door. The door was weathered and worn. Its surface carried marks from many seasons of wind and rain. Yet no one could say where the door led. There was no building behind it, no visible path beyond it. It simply stood there, closed, silent, and unmoving. Every evening, just as the sunlight softened and shadows grew long, a monk would walk from the monastery and sit beside the door. He came alone. He brought nothing, and he never touched the handle. The villagers noticed this strange habit. At first, they watched with curiosity, then with confusion. Years passed, and still the monk returned. Summer or winter, rain or clear skies, the monk sat quietly beside the door until night fell. One evening, a traveler passing through the village stopped and observed the monk for a long time. At last, curiosity overcame him. "Why do you sit beside a door that never opens?" the traveler asked. "Do you not wish to know what is on the other side?" The monk opened his eyes and smiled, as if he had been expecting the question. "When I was younger," the monk said softly, "I spent my days searching for doors. I believed that peace was always behind the next one." The traveler listened. "I knocked on many doors," the monk continued. "Some opened, some did not. And many that opened led only to new corridors, more doors, and greater exhaustion." The monk placed his palm gently against the wood. "This door taught me something different," he said. "It taught me the wisdom of not pushing." The traveler frowned. "But if it never opens, what purpose does it serve?" The monk looked toward the darkening sky. "Not every door exists to be opened," he said. "Some exist to show us the moment we must stop forcing life." They sat together in silence. The evening breeze passed softly through the village. The door remained still. As the night deepened, the traveler noticed something change within himself. His questions slowed. His restlessness softened. The need for answers began to fade. He realized that the door had not been keeping something from him. It had been protecting him from endless striving. When the monk finally stood to leave, the travelers did not follow. He stayed a little longer. The door never opened. But for the first time, the traveler felt something he had been searching for far away. Rest. The bell heard too late. Long ago, in a monastery perched high on a quiet mountain, there was a bell that hung in a wooden frame. It was not large nor ornate, but its sound carried across valleys, calling monks to gather, reminding villagers of the passing day. One young monk admired the bell. He often wondered why its sound seemed so powerful, yet so fleeting. He watched older monks strike it at sunrise and sunset. The notes vibrated through the air and slowly faded, leaving behind a silence that felt heavy, almost sacred. One day, the abbot spoke to the young monk. "Tomorrow," he said, "you will strike the bell yourself." Excitement and fear filled the monk's chest. He had never done this alone. He imagined the sound echoing through the mountains, calling everyone to attention. The next morning, he approached the bell. His hand shook as he lifted the wooden striker. He struck once. The bell rang, deep, clear, vibrating through the air. But he struck too softly, too quickly, and the sound faded almost immediately. The echoes that usually lingered vanished. The young monk frowned. He struck again, louder this time. The bell rang. Yet still, the resonance seemed thinner than he had imagined. He tried again and again. Each strike felt heavier than the last, and his frustration grew. An older monk approached quietly. "You are rushing," the elder said softly. "The bell is not for noise. It is for presence. You must listen as much as you strike." The young monk paused. He closed his eyes. He breathed slowly, feeling the cold air, the wooden frame beneath his hands, the weight of the striker. He struck once more. This time, he listened. The sound spread slowly, filling the valley. Each echo returned gently, long after the strike, carrying not only sound but stillness. The monk opened his eyes. The elder nodded. "Many strike the bell," the elder said. "Few hear it. Wisdom comes not when action is hurried, but when presence meets intention." That night, as the young monk lay on his mat, he thought about the bell. He realized that often in life he had rushed, rushing through work, through thoughts, through worries. He had acted, yet never truly listened. The bell's lesson settled in his heart. Some things cannot be hurried. Some truths are heard only in stillness. Some echoes return only when we are patient enough to notice them. Tonight, let the bell remind you of your own mind. Do not rush. Do not force understanding. Simply listen. Let your thoughts strike gently and allow your awareness to echo softly. The answers you seek are not always immediate. They arrive in quiet moments, in patient breath, in the space between actions. Sleep now, with the calm of the bell ringing within. Let the echoes of today fade gently, and tomorrow, let your awareness carry their lesson with ease. The breath that changed everything. Long ago, in a quiet valley where mountains touched the sky, there was a monastery known for its peacefulness. Among the monks, there was a young student who carried a restless mind. Thoughts raced constantly, worries pressed heavily, and sleep often eluded him. One day, the abbot noticed the student's troubled expression. "Sit with me," the abbot said, motioning toward a quiet garden. The student sat reluctantly, fidgeting, trying to still his racing mind. "Close your eyes," the abbot instructed, "and notice your breath." The student inhaled and exhaled, but only for a moment. Thoughts returned immediately. Plans, fears, memories. He opened his eyes. "I cannot stop my thoughts," he said. "They will not quiet." The abbot smiled gently. "Do not try to stop them. Simply observe them and notice your breath." The student closed his eyes again, this time more slowly. He felt the cool air enter his nose and the warmth as it left. He tried not to control it, just to notice. At first, nothing changed. His thoughts still surged like a stormy river, but gradually, he began to feel the rhythm of his own body. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. He noticed a tension in his shoulders ease, a tightness in his chest soften. The mind, though still restless, seemed slightly farther away. The abbot spoke softly. "Breath is always present. It carries you through every moment. When you anchor yourself in it, even briefly, the storm within begins to calm." Minutes passed. The student's breath deepened naturally. He did not force it. He simply followed its rise and fall. For the first time in weeks, he felt a sense of stillness. "You see," the abbot continued, "you do not need to change the world, nor yourself. Change comes when you pause and allow the present moment to be exactly as it is." The student opened his eyes. The garden looked brighter, calmer. Even the distant mountains seemed to breathe with him. That night, as he lay down to sleep, he remembered the breath. He felt the rhythm in his chest, the ease in his body, and the gentle quiet in his mind. He realized that every worry, every restless thought, did not need to control him. A single breath could remind him of peace. A single pause could carry him to stillness. Tonight, let your own breath guide you. Inhale slowly. Exhale completely. Let your mind soften. Let your body relax. One breath at a time, everything changes. And in this quiet, sleep arrives naturally. Thank you for spending this quiet time with us. We hope these stories have brought you calm and peace. If you'd like more gentle stories like this, you're welcome to subscribe. It quietly supports this channel. And if you found these stories helpful, feel free to share them with your friends and family, so they too can benefit from a moment of calm. May your night be peaceful and your rest deep.